Yeah, it felt good. It felt like Sunday last week. I kind of didn't trust what I was doing. My wrist kind of hurt in the first round last week, and I went away from all the work that I had been doing just to kind of manipulate what I could. And then, I said, you know what, I just have to get through it. And so I was back to the status quo Sunday on all the stuff that I had been doing, and it paid off there. And then I put in a few good days of work here, and I thought I played better than I scored. I hit some beautiful putts that burned edges high, low, left, and right. I made a long one, but to play around in a few under out here when the conditions were, the pins were really tucked today, so it was a little harder than a normal first round in the morning out here. And to feel like I left a few out there is a really good feeling. It makes me feel like I'm, close to being back to where I want to be.
And when you say your wrist hurt, is that like from soreness, or is that
I was in a
something you're
bunker
worried
on
about?
Spyglass number 1, my 10th hole, and I had to flick one, and it jammed it pretty good, and then it kind of locked up on me for a little while. So, when it's not moving well, for me, I got a lot of lean and a lot of left hand involved, and if it's not leaning, it's going to go pretty far offline. So, luckily, this is a really good test these few weeks, and my expectations are low. I expect myself to make good swings, but as far as results, it's hard to think that I should be expecting a lot after 6 months off, essentially. So, having said that, I know where I was today, and I know that I can do better than I did today. So if I can try to post a few scores at or better than today, then, you never know. I start getting back in the mix, and it becomes pretty fun and hopefully more consistent.
Did you have a highlight of the day? Favorite moment? Or
So here's the card. 34 and 34. Hit plenty of greens. 32 putts. How likely is a Spieth comeback page this year to the winner's circle?
I think it's going to have a lot to do with what he was just talking about, the health of that hand. Brandel mentioned the driving. One of the things that was one of the more outstanding statistics that I came across last year related to Jordan Spieth and eliminating a left miss. And to me, it showed, and I think that bore out in what you mentioned, was he top 20 in strokes gained off of the tee last year, is kind of eliminating some of the mistakes that he had made previously. So he's cleaned up a very important part of the game. I think the question mark remains on how the health of his hand or wrist will be.
Well, you raise a good point. Hit those irons. You got to go down and get it. You got to trap it. And I was talking. I said this last week, but I was talking to a doctor friend of mine who's in a practice with the hand surgeon, and they sent me a long, detailed message about the particular type of surgery that Jordan Spieth had and the particular type of injury that he's dealing with, and that injury, that ulnar side pain of the hand where the tendon's popping out of that sheath, he said is notoriously difficult to resolve. He made the analogy of similar to low back pain, which orthopedics hate to treat. Some of them hate to treat it because it's notoriously difficult to resolve. And he said that the ulnar side pain in a wrist is the lower back equivalent to the upper extremity, and that it has ended the career of many a tennis player. Obviously, you stress the wrist more playing tennis than you do in golf, except when you grip the club really, really weak and you're bowed at the top. And so Jordan Spieth, early in his career wasn't bowed at the top. He was more cupped at the top, so I don't feel like he stressed that left wrist as much. So, to your point about, what are the likelihood of him coming back, I hope he does. Golf's better with him playing great golf. He's a major away from winning the career Grand Slam. There's so many exciting aspects of it. But in my view, if the club looks a little better at the top, if it's more neutral at the top, one, he'll have less risk of injuring himself, and two, he'll just simply hit his iron shots better.
Here's a scenario that would turn the sports world upside down, be an enormous boost for golf. Dream scenario, but it's not out of the question. Rory wins the Masters, and he completes the career Grand Slam, and then Spieth follows up at Quail Hollow in Charlotte, North Carolina, wins the PGA Championship to complete the career Grand Slam.